Welcome to Behind the Trigger. Today I'm going to walk you through how to field strip the Taurus G3C. A couple of things you need. You're going to need some quality gun oil. I just use hops. Good old hops number 9. Got some paper towel here. Got some Q-tips. Some hops solvent, some patches, cleaning rod, and cleaning brush. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to make sure the firearm's clear. This is clear, I already checked it, but you're going to take the slide, push it in the back position, and engage the slide catch. You're going to pull out the magazine, and you're going to ensure that there's nothing in there, okay? You're going to take your hand just like this, and you're going to pull it back just a little bit. Then you're going to grab the takedown lever, and you're going to pull it down. Then you're going to slide forward and right off. So now we're going to clean it. First thing I like to do is I like to take some paper towel, old rag, whatever you have laying around, and just kind of do a quick wipe down of everything, and that gets all the heavy stuff off it. All the heavy buildup of gunpowder, powder, and residue. Get in there. Get in that mag well. That little feed ramp is right there. Get that all wiped down. Don't forget to get the front of the frame. And this thing's pretty nasty. The grip's not too bad, but there's a little bit of dirt there and there in the stippling. I'm not going to worry about it. But the slide, you can tell where it's been bounced off the ground and various other objects. It's definitely shows some wear. We're going to clean it all up. I do want to make a note about one thing with this, is you're going to look at the rails. The rails are going to be, it's going to look like it's built up with gunpowder and residue and stuff like that, but that's not residue and powder. That's actually the Teflon coating that they put on this. So this everything right here that you can see is black. That is all Teflon coated, including the rails right here, and you can see where the slide actually runs because it's shiny. So we're going to clean all this up, and you should be able to see a big difference. To disassemble a slide, as far as you need to clean it, all you got to do is remove this captured spring, the guide rod, and the barrel assembly itself. Pretty easy. Just take your finger, pull the spring towards the front till you get it removed from that little step, and just take the barrel, push it forward, tilt it up, pull it out. And you can kind of see how dirty this barrel is. So once again, we're just going to take a rag or paper towel, and we're just going to wipe all that heavy residue right off it. And you can see right there on the feed ramp how dirty it is. So we're just going to start wiping some of that stuff off. I just try to get the majority off. Obviously, just wiping it off like this is not going to get it completely clean. And you're going to want to keep some extra paper towels on hand, just so you can wipe things down, and keep one that's somewhat clean so you can wipe down your hands too, because you are dealing with lead and solvents and petroleum based products. Same thing here. We're just going to get in there, do a real quick wipe down. And this is just to get all the heavy residue off, and you can already see how much gunpowder and lead and residue that I removed. So, and everybody has their own cleaning regimen. I like to keep it simple. Simple seems to work. Alright, now we're going to take our Q-tip. I like using Q-tips because you can really get in there and start cleaning stuff. And I'm going to take my solvent. Now, one thing about this, if you have a clean Q-tip or if you have a clean Q-tip or a cleaning patch, no problem going directly into the main bottle, but don't re-dip, no double dipping, okay? Because once you get this thing dirty and start cleaning stuff up, it's gonna get a lot of residue, and that stuff's gonna go right into your solvent. Some people don't care. I don't double dip. It's a good policy in life. And we're just gonna wipe a little bit off the sides, and we're gonna replace that cap real quick just to prevent any spills. Now, what I like to do is I usually start with the slide, and I just kind of start working that solvent in to all the little crevices, all the surfaces, and you can already see how dirty that's starting to get. Make sure you get it into that channel really good. Make sure you get in that channel really good right here that the slide rides on. That's pretty dirty. I'm gonna go in and dip it again. And you're just gonna go in, and you're gonna wipe the inside, every internal surface. Now, if you purchase a Glock or certain firearms, they actually have anti-seize in this channel where the slide rides on the frame. Don't clean that out, because the anti-seize is actually part of the break-in process. We're gonna do that outside of the slide later, but I just like to get in there really good and get a good coat of this on it. You can't see how dirty that thing is already. Now I'll take I think I'm gonna use another Q-tip. I'm just gonna start wiping that off. Like I said, this thing's nasty, to the point I'm just gonna take another piece of paper towel and just wipe it off good. And you can see how much of that crap's built up in there. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to kind of just push it in that area of the slide where it rides on the frame, the guides of the frame. It's just still getting some dirt out. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's looking a lot better. It's not going to pass no white glove test, but it should work. Alright, so that's basically cleaning the slide. Barrel's a little bit different. I start with the feed ramp. Feed ramp's the important part of the firearm if you want reliability, so I just get in there. Then I do a little bit inside the chamber. And then just go through with a paper towel, wipe all the excess off. Unless it's really dirty, you're not going to have to let it sit too long. And I flip it over. And this part of the barrel generally doesn't get that dirty, so Gonna rub some solvent on there. Wipe it off. It's pretty clean now. Now, this is where people do things. This is where people do things a little bit different. Alright, so now we gotta clean the inside of the barrel. This is pretty easy. First thing I do, I just take a patch, fold it in half into a triangle, slip it through here. These are just some cheap ones. I'm not too worried about it. As long as it passes through the muzzle and hits the rifling, I don't care. I'm going to take my solvent again, dip a little bit in there at a time, because it will absorb. I mean, by all means, if you want to just go ahead and just shove the whole thing in there. But you're only going to get so much in that barrel. Slip it in. I slip that in there. Then I'm going to attach my pistol cleaning rod. I'm just going to pass it through. Because this is plastic, I'm not worried about in and out. I'm just going to get it in there. Surprisingly, the rifling is clean. Just to make sure, I'm going to pull this off. Because I always like to run a couple patches through it before I attach the cleaning brush. So just attaching a cleaning brush now. Then what I'll do is I'll just dip the brush in a little bit, about a quarter of the way. I'll tap off the excess, try to prevent drips. I'll move all this stuff out of the way. I'm just going to grab the barrel. Now through the, yeah, I got to clean up right there still too. Alright, so I'm going to go through the chamber end. Just going to take it. I'm going to hold the end, because the end of the cleaning brush rotates freely. The reason you want it to rotate freely is because it's going to follow the rifling. You don't want to push. You want the brush to follow the rifling, not scrape into it. So you're just going to grab it like this and give it a push till it comes out. I like to take my brushes off before I run it back through the muzzle, just because it can damage the crown. Not saying that it really matters a whole lot on this, but it's just a habit I have from cleaning my rifles. I'm going to do that about twice, and you can see right there, hopefully you can see right there, a good chunk of something came off. There we go. And there's people out there that they don't care. They'll sit there and they'll just scrub back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Not one of those people. To each their own, it's their firearm, they can do what they want. Alright. I'm going to take this thing right here, and once again it's plastic. I have some better ones. I really don't care about this pistol and just want to get it cleaned. But you take this and you're going to attach it to your cleaning rod. Going to about center it, and you're going to stick it through. Now you're going to want to make sure you have the right size one. This one is obviously too small, but you can see how much dirt and grime came out by brushing it and by using solvent versus just using solvent. I use solvent first just to just to kind of loosen things up before I run a brush in there and get all the heavy debris. So if you have too small of a jag, all you got to do is take 2 patches. If you got too small of a jag, all you have to do is double up your patches and it'll tighten it right up. What I'll do is, until it start getting clean, you're going to do this until you have nothing coming out, nothing left on the patch. And see how it's already starting to get clean. I am gonna, just because this is pretty dirty, I'm gonna run run the brush through it one more time, just to make sure it's clean. And like I said, everybody's cleaning regiment's different, and everybody cleans their stuff to a different degree. Pull it out. I'll wipe some of the solvent off my hands. Wipe some of the excess off there and there. You see, some of these, as you can see right here, some of these firearms have these little notches right here that it's a little difficult to get to clean. Toothbrush works really good. Not quite at the point with this toothbrush that you need a scrub. Plus, I just need it to be reliably feed, because I'm going to have to do a heck of a cleaning next time on this thing. Alright. Push a couple more patches through it. Then I'll show you how to disassemble the slide further. We got to clean that up. As you can see, by doing run the brush again, we went from that back to that, and the solvent is clean. So this barrel was pretty dirty. And you're going to repeat that process until the patch comes out completely clean. Looks pretty good. Wipe this off. Feeder ramp looks pretty clean. If you want to test how clean it is, just take a Q-tip and wipe the surfaces. It's a little dirty, but I'm going to live with it. The degree you want to clean is up to you. And I always wipe down the crown or the muzzle. Alright. Now, the guide rod assembly. You're just going to take a paper towel. Just kind of twist it around, and that'll get a lot of the dirt, whatnot off it. Sometimes these companies, they dye their springs, so if you get like rut or something like on it, don't worry about it. If you have to, you can take your finger, push it in between, and just twist it and follow that spring all the way up, and it'll get most of the body. Then just twist it around, your finger will just keep even pressure right there, and it'll follow around and get most of the body. And that's not rust, that's actually, they had the spring itself colored. It's probably for manufacturing. Alright, onto the frame. We're going to set all this stuff aside. Now we got to clean up everything inside the frame. Same thing, Q-tip. Dip it in solvent and just start wiping it down. The Q-tip actually helps you get in to the crevices. And once again, everybody's got their own method. This is just the way I do it. And unless you're going to have your firearm inspected, you can get away with a lot more. Now, if someone's going to do the white glove test on your firearm, good luck, because I'm telling you, there's no way around it. They will find dirt somewhere, or they'll complain about it being over-oiled, which is a thing. And now we're gonna just wipe down the frame. You got to be careful with solvents because it can discolor frames. Everything that we can wipe down with either a rag or a paper towel, that's exactly what we're gonna do. All the detailed stuff we'll do with Q-tips. Make kind of a pile there. Back to the Q-tip. Getting all the crevices. And by the way, this is the first time I've cleaned this gun, so I'm surprised this Teflon coating has actually held up as well as it has. Now, when you are using a Q-tip, you want to be careful of anything that it can snag on, because if it snags on it, like a spring or something like that, it will leave little hairs inside your gun. Not saying that it won't cause a malfunction, but it's not good. Like right there, you can see right here. You can see right here where it snagged on something. So we're just gonna carefully, with a screwdriver, pick that out. There's a rough spot right there. The thing is with this, you will find every rough spot on your firearm. Alright, so now it's pretty clean, it looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. If you feel you need to go deeper with the cleaning, go ahead, just follow that process. Now there's one thing I do want to do, is I want to show you how to take the slide down on one of these. It's really easy. And what's really nice is on this Taurus, what you need to do, this is actually the striker guide, and the G3C. And the G3C, this thing just makes the trigger horrible. And the G3C, vast improvement with this area right here on the firearm. Actually, it has really good trigger, considering. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to take your screwdriver, and be careful, you don't want to mess up the striker. And you're going to pull it forward, unlocking this cap, and just take and slide that back plate off. Then take your finger and place it behind where the back plate was. Pull out the screwdriver, pull your cap off. This is under spring tension, so I'm going to ease it forward or back, then just slip the entire assembly out. Okay, it was just a little tight in there. So we got that out. Then we're just going to proceed to clean this. Proceed to clean the inside, and we're just going to use some Q-tips. I don't want to get a whole bunch of solvent in there, just because you got to get all that solvent out. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and clean up right here. Now, a lot of people don't do this, and it's kind of important, because look how dirty that is. I'm just going to take our clean end Q-tip, and just going to go in there and clean it. This in itself can create a lot of reliability issues if that's dirty in there. And that was full of oil at one point. Not anymore. Looks like this is going to take a couple. That's as far as we're going to take the slide down. I'm not going to worry about the extractor. I can get in there and clean that. You don't have to take the firing pin out like every time you clean, just every so often. And I'm not gonna, because this whole thing's under tension, and you gotta, this is not fun to take this off, to get this out. It's not fun. I've done it before on a G3C. You got a double spring system in there. It's not fun. We're gonna leave this assembly together. We're just gonna clean everything up. Once again, we're just going to take a rag and give it a good wipe down. So that's about all there is to cleaning it. Now you gotta put it all back together and oil it. To oil it, same thing. I like to use Q-tips. It just kind of makes life easier. And I just use Hops number 9. It's a good all-around general. There's a lot of other oils out there, but this works good. And what I do is I just put matter of fact, I'm just gonna soak some of it off the sides here. Don't need to saturate it completely. You just want to leave a little film on it. If not, you end up looking like that. So we're going to start with this, and just a light film on the spring. And I just do a light film on the inside. You should just enough to where you see a sheen. Do not over oil your firearm. A lot of people do. It shouldn't be like your car. It shouldn't be dripping oil. Just slip that in. Now you got to make sure you got your cap going the right way. So this rounded area right here is going to go down towards the top. Okay, you see that? The rounded area goes down towards the top. Now what you got to do is take your finger, push in. I take the screwdriver, get it back in between the striker and the housing. Push it in, push this little guide in, because that's what keeps your cap in place, okay? Take your screwdriver, and I'm gonna butt this up against something real quick, because I need a free hand. Then I'm gonna take my cap, this little notch goes towards me. Just line it up, push it down, release it forward, locks it in. So now moves freely. So we're good. Now so we're gonna take just a little bit of oil. You don't want, everybody wants to coat their frickin' firearms with a lot of oil. You don't need a lot of oil. Just enough. Just a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. I just do the guides. Basically where you see maybe a shiny spot, just a little dab there. Not everything needs to be oiled. And don't do in this, and you don't have to do it inside the slide because you already did your guides. Once again, everybody does things a little bit different, just the way I do it. There's nothing worse than someone handing you a firearm and it's like, this thing needs an oil change and it's just dripping everywhere. Then for the slide, I just come right here, just light coat, not much. Guide rod spring, just a little bit on the spring itself. Especially the little one, because that one actually rides inside the big one. It doesn't take much. Then the barrel, light coat on the barrel itself. You just want a little sheen. Then only in certain contact point you can see the shiny spots. That's the only spots that really need to be hit, because that's where it's moving in that, because that's where it's moving on the inside. Okay, so this barrel has a matte finish and it's wearing against each other and just polishing it. And you just drop your barrel in like you took it out. Take your spring, pop it in, lock it in like so. Take your slide, line it up with the rails, move it towards the back, and you're going to line it up with the rear rails. And just like that, it's back together. Function test. We all know it's safe. We all know it's safe, so you're going to lock it back. First thing you're going to do. Okay, that's good. It didn't come flying off. Fire pin dropped like it should. Restrike function works like it should. Safety up. Mechanical safety works like it should. And that's all there is to it. Now I'm going to clean the slide up. I'm not going to show that though. Alright, till next time.